Hello, guten tag, good morning, good afternoon, aloha.
Aloha.
Hi. Hello.
Hey.
That's better. Make me feel like you love me. I need that. Okay. Intro to theater. We are going to talk about a lot of stuff today. This is my official boring lecture. I'm allowed one. This is it. If you survive today, it gets better. And I'm going to give you a lot of terms today. So stay with me. Take some notes. I'll let you know if you need to know. Oh, no! Wait, where are you going? Cut! Back! Cut! It's not that boring. But it's going to be boring. It's going to be horrible. You're going to hate it. But we have to do it. I have to get you through it. Get through one boring lecture, and then it gets better. This class, some people, I told you you had to get Scantrons for the class, and I've got it in your syllabus, the Scantron you're supposed to get, and a couple people have gone, and the bookstore said they don't have it.
They have them at the other one.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have them at this one. I talked to them. They said they would have them. So don't worry. That if you couldn't get it, they will get them for you. And we will have, they said they will have plenty for the class. That really scared me when I got an email saying they didn't have the Scantron, the one I was told to get. So, okay. So it's there, or it will be there. You can get it, and you'll have it for the tests. All right. Boring Lecture 101. Here we go. You ready? Are you ready? No? I'm ready?
No.
Yeah, baby. All right. Okay. What I'm going to do with you today, if you do theater, we have a terminology in theater. We use some words that they don't use anywhere else, or we use them differently. And so what I want to do today is go over some of that terminology, because you're going to be hearing me using it. And I want you to know what I'm talking about. So that's what today's about. In theater, we basically have three types of stages that we use for live theater. Proscenium, thrust, and arena, which is also called theater in the round. Oh, the round, excuse me. Theater in the round. A lot of our terminology that I'm going to give you today comes from proscenium theater, which is what you normally see. In proscenium theater, the audience sits on one side. It's like we are here today. There's a stage. Audience is sitting on one side, facing the stage. In thrust, it's like a beauty pageant. This is the audience. There's the stage, and then there's a piece that thrusts out into the house. House is where the audience sits. But there's part of the stage thrusts out into the house, and the audience sits on three sides of the stage. Three. Okay? Arena theater, or theater in the round, the audience sits all around it. So you have a stage, and the audience is all around it, and usually the entrances are on the corners. And it's very intimate. In proscenium theater, we have the stage, And then what they'll have is there'll be a wall here and a wall over here. Can you keep up with me? There's a wall here, and then there's a big piece that goes up over the front of the stage and joins the walls. And what it looks like is if we had a set back here, as though we took out a wall so that you can see. This big open space, this wall, is called the Proscenium Wall. Wow, what a technical term. Okay? The Proscenium Wall. Now, in theater, we use some funny terms. If we walk towards the audience, we call it downstage. If I walk away from the audience, this is upstage. Downstage, upstage. Anybody know why it's called downstage and upstage except for Charlie here?
It used to be slanted.
You're right.
Yeah.
You get to win you get to go for the washing machine here in a minute. Okay, great. But you gotta phrase it as a question. Okay?
Okay.
Joking with you. Nowadays, when you go into a theater, the audience sits on a rake, right? And the stage is flat. In olden times, they used to rake the stage, and the audience sat on a flat floor. And that allowed them to see what was going on upstage. Okay? Because the actors that were downstage, this is such a little dainty stage, were lower than the people here. So you actually walked uphill. And that's how this became known as upstage. Downstage, upstage. Cool? All right. Now, this proscenium wall. The area of the stage, and there's always a little bit of area downstage of the proscenium wall. That's called the apron. Like a cooking apron. Apron. A-P-R-O-N. Apron. It's the area of the stage downstage of the proscenium wall. Getting it? You drawing pictures? Cool. They're better than mine. I might have to get you up here. Okay. All right. Now, downstage, apron. Just upstage of the proscenium wall, this wall, just upstage of that wall is where they usually hang a curtain. Main drape. So when the play ends, curtain shuts, or the curtain comes down. This imaginary line where the curtain would be has a real technical name. What do you think they would call an imaginary line where the curtain would be? The curtain line! Ding, 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 ding. It's called the curtain line. Why might I, as an actor, want to know where the curtain line is? Outside of it. Yeah! If the curtain falls, I don't want to be under it. Get a headache. And I don't want to be downstage of it, because if the curtain shuts and the lights go out, then I'm stuck out there. And when the audience gets ready to go home, they'll see me out here looking for a way to get back in the curtain. So actors at the end of the play have to make sure they're upstage of the curtain line so they don't get trapped. Now there's a second definition to curtain line. The second definition is it's the line, the last line of the play or the last line of an act of a play that is the cue for the curtain to close. So it's the curtain line. We will win! Dun, 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 dun. Curtain. The end. That's all, folks. That's all, folks. Curtain. Cool? Did you get all that written down?
Of course.
Okay, I can move ahead. All right. Any questions so far? We're groovy? You guys are giving me strange looks. Okay, all right. I'm going to pretend you understand. All right. We got our curtain line. What do we call this area in front of the curtain? Downstage of the curtain? The apron. We got our apron. We're in good shape. We also use the terms in theater. If he walks downstage of the lectern, we call it below. I'm walking below the lectern. If I walk upstage, we call it above. Below, above. Below. What's this? Where am I going? Above. Cool. You got that. All right. See, I told you it's going to be boring as hell. All right. Now, actors want to be seen, or they wouldn't be actors. They come, they do their job, so people will come and watch them. And we have body positions that allow us to be seen. And what we're talking about is we want the audience to be able to see our face. And the more the audience can see our face, the more open we are. We want to be open. Closed is when you don't see the face. Open is when you do see the face. Okay? Closed, open. Closed, open. If I'm standing like this, it's called full front. Full front. I'm totally open. Quarter right. Oh, I forgot to say this. Stage right, stage left. Stage right is the actor's right when facing the audience. Stage right is the actor's right when facing the audience. Stage left is the actor's left when facing the audience. If I turn my back, it doesn't matter. That's still right and that's still left. Okay? Cool? All right. So, full front, quarter right, half right or profile. Gesundheit. 3/4 right. Full back. Now I'm totally closed. Not my best side. 3/4 left, half left, quarter left, full front. Okay? Now let me show you how that works. Let me have a volunteer. I need somebody real quick. Come on. Charlie's going to help me. If Charlie and I are playing a scene together and we stand this way and talk to one another, does that look natural to you? When you talk to a friend, you don't stand this way, right? Unless you're at a urinal or waiting for a bus or something. You don't stand like this. So it's not natural. We're open. It's the most open position, but it's not natural. So what actors tend to do, and they do this in film as well, is they stand a quarter right and a quarter left. Now, we can talk to one another, but you can still see most of our faces. Now, what would be real natural would be profile or half right and left. But the problem with this is you can't see my face at all, and you guys can't see his. Does that make sense? So actors tend to stand quarter right and quarter left, and they talk to one another. Okay? In film, they do this in film. Except in film, what's really cool in film, and this used to drive my dad crazy. I'm not done with you. Get back up here. It used to drive my dad crazy when he'd watch Army movies, because my dad had been in the Army in World War II. And he'd watch Army movies and he'd go ballistic about this. But in film acting, they stand like this. They're really close together. And why would that be, do you think? Why would they stand real close together in a film? Yeah. Yeah, so we get a nice tight shot, but get both actors in it. And so, if you watch Star Trek or something, they're, Scotty. I mean, they're right on top. They're right on top of one another. But the film, the way they shoot it, it doesn't look that close. But if they stand as actors would on stage, you couldn't get us both in the shot. So my dad, what he went crazy about was in Army movies, they'd be sneaking up on the enemy. Get your gun. We're going to take out those Germans. Come on. And they would be like right on top. And my dad would be going, that's not how we did it in World War II. I got to spread out. One grenade would take all those guys out. And he would just, but Dad, it's a movie. I don't care. It's not how you do it in the Army. And he would just go off. He was a sergeant in the Army. Thanks, Charlie. It's good. Quarter right, body positions. Okay? All right. Good. Some other terms. I just had this one. What do you think a blank is? B-L-A-N-K, blank. Okay? Yeah, you forget your lines. I forgot where I was, so I blanked. Blank. You forget your lines. In theater, they have auditions. And you'll see this sometimes advertised around here. They'll be shooting a film or something nearby, and they'll say they're going to have a cattle call. A cattle call audition. That's an audition that anybody can come to. Large numbers of people, and they march you in and out like cattle. I was telling another class earlier today, I remember when they had the auditions for the film Hair. They held the auditions in Central Park in New York City. And basically the audition said, come dressed like a hippie if you want to be in a movie. And people just walked through a big line. They had literally had a couple thousand people show up dressed as hippies. And they walked them through. And what's your name? They looked at what they looked like, and then they sent them through. They were just looking to see who looked the most like hippies. And that was the audition, a cattle call. Some other terms, one that you'll hear in theater, and if you hear it, you need to obey this command quickly. Clear stage, or clear the stage. Means get off the stage immediately. Don't stop and go. Don't ask why. Just get off the stage. Usually there's a very important reason to hear clear the stage. What's a cue? When it's your turn? Yeah, it sets your turn. It's either a word or an action, something that triggers you. It's your turn to speak, your turn to do something. It's your cue. There are verbal cues, light cues, sound cues, whatever it might be. And then there's a term called pick up the cue. Pick up the cue. What do you think that is? Pick up the cue. All right, let me demonstrate it. I'm going to deliver a line. And then you're going to respond as a group. I'm speaking to the troops. And your line is, God save the Queen. Let me hear it one time.
God save the Queen!
Oh, give me some gusto.
I want to be British.
I don't care. You can be anything. Martians. It could be the Martian army. I don't care. Ready? Let me hear it.
God save the Queen!
Okay. Now my line is, today we're going to march. And we're going to win.
God save the Queen!
All right. Pick up the cue. Which means say your line faster after I finish. Today we're going to fight. And we're... You jumped your cue. I forgot my line. Today we're going to fight. And we're going to win!
God save the Queen!
Pick up the cue. Right when I say win, on win, come in. All right, ready? Today we're going to fight! And we're going to win!
God save the Queen!
Bravo! You did it! Yes, you picked up your cue. It was beautiful. That's a wrap. We can all go home, have a beer. All right. Backstage. Backstage is any area behind the scenery where the audience can't see you. If the audience can't see you, you're backstage. Now, if you're over the tavern next door, that's not backstage. But in the theater. Backstage. Call. C-A-L-L. What's a call? Anybody? You'll hear the line. Somebody will say, your call is at 9 p.m.
When you're supposed to be there.
Yeah, call is the time you're supposed to be there. I'm calling you. Call. Ah. What's a cover? It's a thing we have to do a lot in theater. Anyone?
Like covering for somebody?
Yeah, you're hitting on the right track. Say that again.
Like covering for somebody?
Yeah, you're hiding a mistake. You missed your cue, then I have to make up some lines. I have to ad-lib until you say your lines. You're covering, hiding a mistake. There's a great story I was once told, and you might not think it's great, but I do. And back in like the 1940s, there were two British actors performing in England. And one of the actors, they were really good friends. And one of the actors was having a birthday. And so the other actor decided that since it was the other man's birthday, he was going to pull a trick on him. And he paid a technician some money to ring the man's telephone during their scene. There was no telephone supposed to ring. And it was the other guy's character's telephone. It was his home. And he did this because, you know, the guy would have to then answer the phone. And it was a big trick. He was going to have a lot of ha-ha-ha. Watch to see what he did when he had to answer the phone. So he's standing there on stage, and they're talking, you know, oh, it's a lovely day. Yes, it is a lovely day. And all of a sudden the phone rings. And he looked at the man who he was playing the scene with, it was supposed to be his character's house. And the guy goes, and he walks over, picked up the phone, went, hello? Yes, he's here. It's for you. And he left the stage. And he had to cover for a long time before he came back. That That's what covering is. Okay. Cover. What's a plant other than something green? Anyone? There's two definitions of a plant.
When you catch your feet on stage?
No, it's not talking. That is a definition, but it's not what I'm looking for. A plant, the first definition, in some theaters, you'll see this in community theater a lot. High schools do it too. Directors will have people in the audience that are friends of theirs who will laugh at all the things that are supposed to be funny to trigger the audience. They're planted in the audience. They're plants. They'll laugh at things, they'll clap, they'll start standing ovations. I had a director once that did that, and it really sickened me that he had to resort to that to get audiences to respond to his plays. There was even a director in Birmingham, Alabama, a number of years ago, he's passed away, who used to brag to people that every play he directed ended with a standing ovation. And he used plans, but to make sure he got a standing ovation, he ended every play he did with the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody was he always got a standing ovation. Okay. The other definition of plant has to do with a script. And a plant is information that is given early in the play that's important later. Information given early in a play that's important later. You'll see that in murder mysteries a lot. Somebody will be talking and they'll go, "Oh, you have what is this?" "Oh, that's a letter opener I got during my trip to India." "Oh, a letter opener, shaped like a dagger. How interesting." And they'll put it down, and later you'll find it stuck in somebody's head. That's a plant. Okay. There are two unions you need to know that I'll ask you about. Actors' equity and SAG-AFTRA. As in many businesses, in theater and film, unions came about to help the working conditions of actors. If you go back into theater history, there was a time actors were treated pretty horribly, both in film and in theater. And the unions that came about, Actors' Equity is a union for actors in live performance. The Union for Actors in Live Performance. Also, stage managers belong to this union. Actors and stage managers. Live performance. SAG-AFTRA, and this stands for Screen Actors Guild, but if I write it on a test, it'll just be SAG-AFTRA. The Screen Actors Guild, and this is the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. These used to be two unions. SAG was for film acting. AFTRA was for television and radio acting. What happened was it became hard in modern times to distinguish which union should cover somebody, because there's so many movies made for television, and also with the internet, they started having problems with reality TV. And I'm sorry, it's not real. They're actors. They get paid. They belong to the union. Okay? So SAG and AFTRA joined together. And now they're called SAG-AFTRA. So this is the union for actors in film, television, and radio. Your big city DJs belong to this. And Actors Equity is for live performance. Okay? Know those two and distinguish between the two of them. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What are grips? Anybody tell me what a grip is? G-R-I-P? Not a gripe, but a grip. Yes, ma'am?
They're like the stage hands that move things around.
Yeah, stagehands. And in film, they're especially called grips, but we do refer to them on theater too. And they're called grips because they grip things. I always wondered about the best boy. You ever see that in films?
Yeah.
He's the best boy. What the hell does that mean? What did he do? It's pretty much a glorified gopher, but that's best boy. Oh, I like this one. What's a ham? H-A-M, ham. Other than a food. Hi. Glad you could make it. What's a ham? Yeah. Somebody that overacts. Yeah, usually it's a bad actor that thinks they're good, and they overact and they have a tendency to upstage, which means they take focus when they're not supposed to. I know a bunch of hams. House, I think I said this, is where the audience sits. This is the stage, that's the house. I have a bunch of these in here, or possibles. It's French. Ingenue. What is an ingenue? What is an ingenue? Anybody? Yeah.
Somebody that can take under your wing to tell your cards later on.
You're getting in the right direction there with that. It's the young leading actress, usually the romantic leading actress, but they're young. Some older actresses have trouble with this. Julia Roberts is going through it right now. She had been an ingenue. Now she's just old. She can't get the roles that she used to get. You don't see her much anymore, do you? She's outgrown them. She's gotten too old. She's become a diva, which is the older leading actress. But the ingenue is the young romantic lead woman. Now here's a question. What do they call the leading man? This is a trick question. Huh? They call him the leading man. They couldn't think of anything French to say, so he's just the leading man. There's the ingenue and the leading man. Okay. All right. I'm not going to ask you that. All right, now I'm getting down to something that's really important. Theater people are superstitious. Very superstitious. And if you're going to be around theater, you better know your superstitions, or you could get into trouble, or you could make someone angry. So I'm going to teach you the important superstitions so you don't get into trouble. In theater, for example, we never say good luck to another actor. What do you say?
Break a leg.
Break a leg. Break a leg. You say something bad to them. If you go up to an actor, and especially an older actor, and say, "Good luck," I thought we were friends. How dare you? No, you say break a leg. Break a leg. Thank you. You too. Okay. If you're in a show that uses dancers, especially ballet dancers, do not tell a dancer to break a leg. They will. They'll worry about it. They'll think about it and go out and actually break their leg. They'll be offended. They'll think you don't like them if you say break a leg to a dancer. They use a different word. If you see a dancer and you want to wish them good luck, don't say good luck. Say, anybody in here speak French?
Oui.
M-A-I-R-D. What is it?
Shit.
Merde. Merde is French for shit. You walk up to a dancer and you go, "Merde, bless you. Thank you so much. Merde, oh, and you too. Merde to you." Now, if you say shit to them, they'll get upset. I don't think any of them know what it means, but they use it. And you go up and, "Merde, bless you. Merde to you. Let me get my bun fixed. I'm ready." Break a leg for actors, merde for dancers. Good luck. Now, in theater, there's one Shakespearean play that we can't say on stage because it's bad luck. It's really bad luck. The play has a curse on it, supposedly. Macbeth. The tragedy of Macbeth. In theater, we do not call it, if we're on stage and we're talking about it, we will not say the word Macbeth because it'll cause the play that you're working on to have bad luck. So we call it the Scottish play. If someone says the Scottish play, everybody in theater knows you're talking about the play Macbeth. Now, the reason that they say it causes bad luck is because over the years, there has been a history of productions where somebody will say the word Macbeth and then bad things happen on stage. Now, the superstition is that when Shakespeare wrote the play, he put actual witches' incantations in it, and that brought it the bad luck. But there is a removal of the curse. If someone's backstage and they say Macbeth, then to get rid of the curse, the person has to go outside. I'm telling you the truth now. I'm not pulling your leg on this. They have to go outside the theater, spin around 3 times, and spit. And then they can get back in the theater only when they ask if they can come back in.
What would be an instance like someone would actually say Macbeth with?
Well, if you're backstage and somebody will say, "What show are you going to do next?" "Oh, I'm going to be in Macbeth." And then I was working at the Oklahoma Shakespearean Festival. We were doing Richard II. And this one actor was in there and he was going, "Yeah, my favorite Shakespearean play is Macbeth." And the whole cast in the dressing room went, "Go outside!" And he said, "Why?" He said, You're going to bring bad luck on the show tonight." And he was like, "I don't believe in that. Macbeth, 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 Macbeth." And he just kept saying it over and over again. And that night, right at the beginning of the show, this one guy goes running out on stage. There was this low ceiling on the set, on one of this platform. Whacks himself in the head and gets knocked out. Another guy, during a fight, trips and falls and sprains his leg really bad. Piece of the scenery fell down. At the end of the show, they picked this guy up, and took him out of the theater and threw him out back. Wouldn't let him come in to change his clothes until he did the spin 3 times and spit. That's how superstitious actors get over it. So you call it the Scottish play.
What about when, like, you're performing the play Macbeth?
When you're performing it, you just hope nothing bad happens. There is a history of bad things happening during the play Macbeth, though.
Like, so when you come out and say enjoy Macbeth, do you say Macbeth or do you say enjoy the Scottish play?
Well, it depends on how superstitious the owner of the theater is. They usually say Macbeth.
Can you address the character of Macbeth?
Yeah,
Macbeth?
I mean, you have to. You can't call him, hey, Mr. Scottish play guy. Oh, lady Scottish play. No, you have to say it if you're doing the play. It's while you're doing something else, you're not allowed to say it. Or people freak out. Now, I love talking about these superstitions because there's a history tied to a lot of them. A lot of the early theaters, if we go back to the 16, 17, 1800s, were in seaports because in that day and time, that's where the big cities were. If you wanted if you had a big population, you had to have water. Ships had to be able to get to you. So a lot of your theaters, the big theaters, were in seaports. One of the things that would happen because they were in seaports is the sailors, I just blanked. Sailors would come into town. They'd finish a voyage. They'd have a while before they were going to go back out on another ship. And they'd be out of work. They would spend their money. They would need a way to make money. So what happened is a lot of the theaters employed sailors, out-of-work sailors, as stagehands, as grips. And that's one reason, even to today, the rigging, and it's called rigging, all the ropes over top the stage have naval terms to them because they were sailors that worked them, and so they still use the naval terms to this day. Now, in that day and time, the stage manager, who at that time was called a prompter, sat in the apron of the stage down in a little hole. So the actors would be acting, and they'd be down in this little hole, and they'd have the script, and if somebody forgot a line, they could give them the line, and the audience couldn't see them doing it because they were below the stage. Okay? Picture this. Now, if I'm the stage manager and I'm sitting in a hole at the front of the stage manager's part of their job is to be in charge of the crew moving the scenery or lifting the battens or whatever it might be, whatever they need, whatever the grips are going to be doing. Well, they had no electricity. There was no way to have a headset to call somebody. So the way they signaled people backstage was blowing a bosun's whistle. You guys know what a bosun's whistle is? Anybody in here been in the Navy? This is the first time nobody. Even to today, on ships in the American Navy, and I imagine all navies, when they give you an announcement, you'll hear attention, attention, and then they'll give you the announcement. But when sailors hear they know to listen. It's an important call. Now, that used to be done before they could put it over the sound system with a whistle. And the bosun was the guy in charge who would blow the whistle. So it's the bosun's whistle. And they had different whistles on the stage. The stage manager started to use a bosun's whistle. And they could blow out, which might mean lower the curtain. Might mean bring in the scenery. Okay, this is a long story leading to where I wanted to go. It's bad luck in theater to whistle backstage. It's bad luck to whistle backstage. But it comes from this. Because in that day and time, if some actor was backstage and they started going, all kinds of stuff would start happening. Because the sailors, stagehands, are listening for whistles. And if they hear their little tune go off they go. They come running out with the furniture. They lower the curtain in. And people could get hurt. So that's where that superstition comes from, whistling backstage. Now, another, tied to that same thing, another is in the theater, a cat backstage is good luck. Having a cat, a live one, backstage, dead one doesn't do you much good. A live cat backstage is considered good luck. Now, going back to what we were just talking about, why would it be important to have a cat in the theater? Say it so everybody can hear.
Get mice.
Rats.
That too.
If you have theaters in seaports and the scenery is, what they used to use to paint the scenery with and they used as a glue was wheat paste. Slab some wheat paste on muslin. Rats love that. That's delicacy. Add to that some hemp rope and they got a full meal. So rats got to be really bad in theaters. They'd eat up all the scenery, eat up all the ropes. Having a cat backstage was a cheap way to take care of that. And so now it's considered good luck to have a cat backstage. And some theaters still do this. In fact, the Johnson City Community Theater used to have 2 cats. And if you, they don't have them anymore. But I remember you'd go see a play there, and in the middle, it didn't matter what show it was, all of a sudden a cat might come walking across the stage. Or might come up and sit with you in the audience if they liked you. I was doing fight choreography for a show. I didn't know they had the cats. And it was dark, and I'm sitting there watching the rehearsal, and all of a sudden something jumped in my lap. And I said a few merds. It scared the crap out of me. And it was their local cat. Once I realized they had the cat, I was okay. But I had no idea what had jumped in my lap in this dark theater. But that's good luck. Know your superstitions. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What's the Scottish play? Break a leg, married, all that good stuff. I lost my notes. I don't even know what I did with it. Oh. Okay. Any questions about any of the things that I covered? You good so far? Because I want to jump to what I'm going to cover next. We get out at what? 3? What time do we get out of here?
3:35.
3:35. Cool. Told you this is going to be boring. I'm sorry, but it's just boring. What I'm going to jump into, and this ties into the theater terminology, and we're going to look at the parts of a play. You may have had some of this in an English class. What I do is a little different. And this is how I analyze a play, how I look at a play, how I analyze the play, so that I can understand what a play means. And if you're a playwright or you ever want to write a play, we're gonna start with that. Let's talk about how a play is structured, because all plays pretty much follow the same structure. The style of the play may differ, but the structure is pretty much the same. And by understanding the structure, you can see a play or read a play and understand what it's about, what kind of play it is, what does it mean. All plays begin with exposition. Exposition is information we need to understand what's going on in the play. Information we need to understand what's going on in the play. There are basically two types of exposition: blocked, which means you get it in a big lump, or scattered, which means it's in the dialogue of the play and you get it as people are talking, bits and pieces. The ancient Greeks liked block exposition. If you go back to the tragedies of Greece, they used the chorus, and the chorus would come out and go, "Oh, life in Thebes is terrible. The city is under a plague. We don't know why the city's under a plague, but things are bad. People are sick. And it seems to have happened after our king ran away and never came back. And when Oedipus, a young man who looked a lot like our king, slew the monster and married the king's wife, who he also favors a lot, and they had children together who also look kind of funny. We don't know why there's a plague on the city." They would just talk forever. Just a chorus of people just telling you the story. This is the background information. This is how the play begins. Nowadays, you don't usually get that. Nowadays, characters just talk. And from what they say, you'll pick up bits and pieces from different characters. "Oh, did you hear? The master's back." "Really?" "Yes. He's been away, but now he's back." "Strange goings on." "Yes, I have noticed that." Have fun. Good luck. I hope everything comes out okay. Merd. Background information. I bet you won't get up when you have to pee, will you? Background information. Block and scattered exposition. Now, I told you guys day one I'm crazy. There are two main characters in every play. Okay? Two main characters. And the protagonist and the antagonist. The protagonist is the most important character in a play. It's the person we know the most about. I just lost myself. Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, hook it back on. The protagonist drives the action of the play. He or she makes decisions And these decisions drive all the action of the play. Remember that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They drive all the action of the play through decisions that they make. He or she. It. Go Steelers. Did you wear that for me? See my socks?
I don't have any thoughts.
Well, I do. They drive all the action of the play, the protagonist. Okay, remember that. The antagonist is the person that we know the second most about. He or she opposes the protagonist and tries to keep he or she from getting what he or she wants. It's a lot of he's and she's. Does that make sense? Do you need me to explain that again? The antagonist, write this down, opposes the protagonist and tries to keep the protagonist from getting whatever he or she wants. All the he's and she's through you.
I got it.
Okay, I'm just checking. See, every character in a play wants something. They have needs. And it wouldn't be a play if they weren't trying to get it. For a play to be interesting, there has to be clash. People have to oppose one another. The protagonist wants something, they try to get it, and the antagonist keeps them from having it. And there's this clash. And if we don't have clash, a play or a movie would suck. It would just be horrible. If everybody got along in a play or a movie, you would not want to watch it. Oh, let's go to a movie. Okay. What movie would you like to see? Whatever you'd like to see. Oh, no, whatever you would like to see. Oh, I love you. I love you too. Life is great. Yes, it is. Happy, happy. Joy, joy. I mean, you take about 5 minutes of that and you leave the theater. You turn off the movie. Even Barney has clash. The kids can't do something. Barney has to save them. And he's about as joy as you want. Even the Teletwinkies or whatever they're called have clash. Oh, he fell over. Oh. There's something they need. Twinkie Winkie and Dinky Doo. They have to get something. They want it. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You missed a lot. We've been talking about you. Does that make sense? Clash. So you've got a protagonist, you've got an antagonist, and they go at it. And that makes the play interesting. Okay? Yes, beam me up. Okay. Now, plays begin. Exposition, exposition, information, 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 information. I'll get you out of here on time. Precipitating Act. Precipitating Act. The Precipitating Act is a decision made by the protagonist. I'll wait till you write that down. A decision made by the protagonist that sets the play in motion. It's the first crisis of the play. The first crisis of a play. Eventually we're going to talk about 3 crises, or crises. This is the first, the Precipitating Act. So, the play goes along, we get a lot of information, we learn all about Oedipus the king, they talk a lot, and then the protagonist makes a decision to do something. And in making that decision, the play takes off. Okay. I'm trying to think of a story that you guys would know. You had to read it in high school, or you should have. And I'm going to give you the real cut down version of it. But let's talk about the Scottish play, since we've already mentioned it today. Shakespeare's play Macbeth, the Scottish play. In Macbeth, and I'll give you a hint, Shakespeare's pretty good about naming his plays after his protagonists. Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, Othello, Richard II, Macbeth. The only one he doesn't do it on really is Julius Caesar, because he couldn't call the play Brutus because nobody knew who Brutus was. Julius Caesar had a bigger name, so he calls it, even though he dies in the second act of the play, it's called Julius Caesar. But in Macbeth, the play begins with a lot of exposition, and what we learn, and I'll get you out of here on time, don't worry. What we learn is that there has been a rebellion. We're in Scotland. There has been a rebellion against the king, and there are 2 generals, Macbeth and Banquo, and they are great heroes, and they've helped put down the rebellion. And we learn that the people who started the rebellion are now being rounded up. There has been a big battle. Macbeth and Banquo won the battle, and the various rebels are being killed, executed, and good things are going to happen to the country. This is what we learn at the beginning of the story. And then Macbeth and Banquo are kind of walking along, and they see some witches. Some witches appear to them in a heath, which is just another name for swamp. And they see these witches, and the witches say, Macbeth, you will be king. Banquo, your sons will be kings. And Macbeth and Banquo go, wow, that's pretty cool. That can't happen. To get to be king, you gotta get a promotion from the king to be next in line to be king, and that ain't gonna happen. You've got to be Thane of Cawdor. And about that time, some guy comes riding up. Macbeth, the king heard about your great victory. He's named you Thane of Cawdor. And Macbeth goes, whoa. Were the witches telling me the truth? This is cool. I'm going to write my wife and tell her. And then the guy says, and the king says, come to his house. We're going to have a party. Come to the castle. And Macbeth's going, yeah. Thane of Cawdor. When I meet with the king going to make me next in line. I'm going to be the king. I'm going to be the king. Oh, yeah. And they show up. And the king goes, Macbeth, buddy, I love you, man. I love you. Oh, man, you're the greatest. Banquo, love you too, brother. Oh, you guys are great. I love you guys. You're now Thana Calder. I love you guys. And I'm going to name my next in line to be king. And next in line to be king, well, my son Malcolm, who hasn't done anything. He's a little teenager. Way to go, son. I love you. And Macbeth goes, "Merd." He appointed that wimpy kid next to be king, and I am the great general. I'm going to write my wife about this. He writes his wife a lot. And I'm going to stop it there. I'll see you next time. See you on Thursday. If you didn't get your name on the roll, make sure you do.